Look at this, bro. Look at this.
So when it's cold where I'm from, yeah, I got enemies. Okay, the when it's cold where I'm from, they try enemy. I swear the when it's cold where I'm from, they try to sentence me. Okay, the
Big J, you're on the fire.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? Today's video, guys, we are going to be checking out Brixton versus Peckham, most infamous beef in London. Now, with that being said, it has been actually a little while since we checked out a documentary from Kid Nerd. So shout out to Kid Nerd, man. But with that being said, if you guys new to the channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button for me. We're on the road to 4K subscribers. I love you guys so much. And if you guys have any more suggestions or anything else you guys want me to check out, let me know in the comment section below, man. But with that being said, let's go, man. Let's dive right into this.
So before the publicised drill feuds in South London, like Moscow versus Zone 2 and Harlem versus 410, there was a very deadly war going on between Peckham and Brixton, which was one of the first nationally publicised beefs in London, gaining a lot of news coverage, and came about in the early stages of YouTube, where we could see direct disses, kind of originating diss tracks how we know it today. So as I said before, the two areas in this feud was Brixton versus Peckham. So first we have Peckham, which is located in the borough of Southwark in South London, which infamously is the area where drill group Zone 2 are from. But before Zone 2, there was the Peckham Boys, which was a gang made up of 5 estates in Peckham, which were the North Peckham Estate, Gloucestershire Grove Estate, Willowbrook Estate, Camden Estate, and the Sumner Estate. And these estates were very well known for how bad they were. They suffered massive unemployment and crime, and were very deprived. They pretty much were neglected by any law enforcement and government as well, and was even called Peckham, which was a hybrid between Vietnam and Peckham, comparing the area to the Vietnam War due to how much violence was there. Throughout the Peckham Boys gang, there were different sects, like the Firehouse Crew and YBP, or Younger Peckham Boys. There were also a couple of Jamaican yardie gangs in Peckham, like the Sunrise Crew and the Spanglers as well. And on the other side of the feud, we have Brixton, which is about an 11-minute ride from Peckham and is located in the borough of Lambeth. Brixton's main gang in this feud was called the Gas Gang, who was a gang from the Angel Town Estate. And these guys were the most violent gang in the Brixton area, and were even responsible for 3/4 of violent incidents in Brixton in 2012. The Angel
3/4 of incidents? Oh my god. Oh no. Then they was just on a spree, bro. They was just not playing around. They was on a spree. Bro, 3/4?
Town Estate, where Gas Gang is from, probably has the richest history of gangs in London, with many different generational gangs being bred from this estate, like the PDC gang in the 2000s who dominated the estate. Nowadays it's the Get Back gang or 150 who take on the estate. But let's take it back a minute to 2008, where Peckham, who I first mentioned, was deep in a decades long with a gang called the Ghetto Boys, who was a gang from Lewisham in South London, which was a crazy war in itself, and I'll definitely do a video of that in the future. But in 2008, after decades of back and forth between the Peckham and Lewisham gangs, the younger generations in both gangs agreed to an alliance, which was fully solidified during the Notting Hill Carnival in August 2008, when 180 members from both gangs organised a link-up at the carnival. The link-up was actually intercepted by police.
180?
The two gangs were linking up to fight each other. But as Peckham's relationship with Lewisham got better, their relationship with Brixton started to worsen. See, historically, Brixton and Peckham have always had a feud, even dating all the way back to the 1950s, where local schoolboys from both areas would clash, which was even more hostile after immigration, because Peckham was filled with mainly African immigrants, while Brixton was filled with mainly Caribbean immigrants. So there's always been big culture clashes there. But as I said, in 2008, the war between Brixton and Peckham was starting to become a lot more heated, and these were times where guns were much more accessible than what they are now. It wasn't uncommon for a gang member to be rolling around with a gun, just like how nowadays most gang members roll around with knives. There was a lot of back and forth shooting between these areas. In one instance, members from a Brixton gang called OC, who were heavily allied with Gas Gang, rid out on Woolworth Road, which at the time was a territory of the Shoot Instant gang, who were part of the Peckham side, and started shooting at 2 Peckham rappers called
So the reason why they really stopped the guns and stuff like that was because of all like the criminal activity that was going on, right? That's why, like, I mean, you still have access to guns and stuff, but it's not as easy as it was before, right? For my UK people. Talk to me, man. Talk to me. So that's why you guys carry like zombie knives and Rambos and stuff like that, right?
Snap Capone and Butch, who were walking down the street. Both rappers actually managed to run to a convenience store and managed to dodge the bullet. While running into the shop, an innocent bystander just trying to get into the same shop was shot and killed. His name was Ryan Bravo, and he was 18 at the time. And this was one of the big turning points in making his feud widely publicized in the UK. Just to rub salt in the wounds, the OC gang made a diss track called Bullet Rhythm, when a member mocked the situation with the lyrics, "Had you running in the shop like you're buying something," while a member of a Peckham gang then responded to the situation in a song called Real Riders, saying, obviously referencing when Brixton members shot up Woolwich Road, which is some of the early examples of UK diss songs, referencing real moments that have happened on the streets, bringing more publicity to the feud. And the people who are up to date with London's street situation at the moment will probably be quite confused, because Woolwich Road actually beats Peckham now, but that's a whole nother story to get into another time. So yeah,
bro, it's just this UK stuff just gets so diverse, guys. Like, it's crazy, bro. There's a story to everything, you know, and it's crazy how far like it came about, you know, like from the UK songs of early 2000s to now. It's like a different time period, bro. And it's just like, damn, like this is nothing recent too. This has been going on for a long time now, a long time, bro.
After this Woolwich Road shooting, many diss tracks were going back and forth between the gangs, as well as shots. In the same year of 2008 in October, Brixton older members got the drop on a Peckham member's house called Terms and waited in the parked car outside his house. When Terms appeared outside his house, they shot him on his doorstep, leaving him to die. Terms was a member of the SN1 gang in Peckham, which stands for Spare No One. And this is the same gang that the famous rapper Giggs was part of, and Giggs pays respect to Terms sometimes in his songs. It didn't take more than a month for Peckham to respond to this though. In November, Peckham members got the drop that some members from the Brixton gang OC were clubbing at a nightclub called SE1 in Bermondsey, South London, and pulled up to the club, shooting Errol Davis close range in front of 2,500 clubbers, which is even crazier because the murderer was never caught, despite there being thousands of witnesses at the...
Bro, 2,500 in the club? 2,500? Bro! Oh my gosh! And the suspect hasn't been caught? How do you get away with that? How, bro? How do you do that, bro?
The scene. But these times, stuff like this wasn't uncommon because there was low-level security and no cameras in some of the clubs in 2008, which is something you would never see in clubs in London nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, back then, like I said, it was just different, you know. You didn't have the technology we have now, you know, so back then it was more easier to get away with now. Like, yeah, I feel what he's saying on that.
Actually, in 2016, the police found the same handgun which murdered Errol Davis at the nightclub in the possession of a man called Andre Chambers, who lived in Woolwich, which is quite sus. It was also later found out that the same weapon which was involved in Errol Davis's murder was also involved in 2 other attempted murders and 1 murder. But Andre Chambers was never found guilty for the murders with little to no evidence, apart from handling the weapon. But that's not enough to go down for a murder. While this direct war between Brixton and Peckham was occurring, there were also a lot of separate gangs and areas who joined alliances with both areas. This was basically turned into some World War III stuff, the South London version. One set based in Old Kent Road called OBY in South London were affiliated with Peckham, but a dispute between the members started a feud between OBY and Peckham, resulted in OBY members joining Brixton in the fight against Peckham, which was fully signified in the trap between the 2 gangs called Brooklyn to Baghdad. But OBY went off to a bad start in his feud after losing one of their younger members called Baby Ryder. His real name was Sunday Essia, and he was a 15-year-old orphan from Nigeria after his mum and dad both died when he was younger, and he started to get involved in the South London feud. Before he was stabbed,
bro, like, that's what happens, bro. If the children has nobody to look up to and no role models, bro, they're gonna be bad influences. I'm just being honest. Like, these like younger like generations, kids or whatever, like, they need that guidance. If they don't have that guidance, they're gonna be doing the wrong decisions, and it's technically not their fault because they didn't have the proper guidance for them to choose the right path, you know? So it's like, Bro, it's just
He pulled
sad,
out an
bro.
imitation firearm on 4 rival members. When they realized it was fake, they chased him through a park while he was screaming for his life, begging his killers not to kill him and spare his life. But he was ultimately stabbed 9 times and left to die. So after the back and forth in 2008, Brixton and Peckham was literally a no-go zone. And me personally, growing up as a kid around these times, despite me not actually living in the area and being too young to understand all this stuff, I just knew Brixton and Peckham was a place you do not go. Even the Member of Parliament of Peckham at the time, Harriet Harman, would wear a bulletproof vest and have security while she would walk through Peckham, further embracing the name Peckham. Then 2009 hit, and this was a big year for music from both sides, but especially from the Peckham side of things, when Giggs dropped a couple mixtapes and started putting some of his other members onto music, like Gunna D and Killer Kai. But Giggs was under a lot of pressure from the police at the time, who would cancel his shows, warn labels not to work with him, and even banned him from appearing in TV and radio, which is something we see a lot now with police taking down these drill music videos. Well,
we can't pay any of our bills. We have a baby on the way.
She is the victim of the West Side Ripper.
The reason why police were so onto Giggs is because the streets were crazy at these times. And Giggs' Peckham gang, SN1, were making headlines early on in 2009 when they executed the ex-member in broad daylight on a busy street because he fell out with the gang earlier on. This was a ticking point for police because it was seeming to the public at this time that the gangster took control and could do whatever they want, which was essentially true. So police started gathering CCTV footage of previous rideouts from both Peckham and Brixton gangs in an attempt to take down some members. Police sent over this footage to Peckham members' lawyers as proof of their involvement in the feud, which a member then grabbed the footage off his lawyer and uploaded it to YouTube. The original video is no longer up, but a re-upload of it is still on YouTube today, and shows Peckham members riding out in Brixton in masses. And when looking at this footage, this is some propaganda-worthy stuff. Like, the caption of the videos are so funny.
Look at this, bro! Look at this!
Just show how crazy these times really were.
Bro, these dudes are riding out in bikes, bro. Like, they is ready to go. They is ready to, you know, fully prepared, ready to go, bro. They is on
like
bikes.
gangsters just riding their ops with 30 guys on pedal bikes, loaded with guns and knives. There's no way you could get away with that stuff nowadays.
Bro, this is like video game stuff. What
London.
the heck?
3 boys can't even walk to the shop in London without getting stopped by police, let alone that many people on bikes. Brixton gangs responded to this YouTube video in the music video called Your Liars, and the whole year of 2009 was literally just filled with violence and diss tracks, with some real classics like Wreckage from Peckham younger members. Around the same time of this release, a 13-year-old boy was stabbed 5 times in South London due to the feud between these areas, which hit national attention because 13 is hella young.
Heck,
and I think this,
bro, that's barely hitting the age of puberty. Yes, that's very young, bro. Like, dude, oh my gosh, man. They don't care how old you are. You know, I was looking at something the other day. I think it was Absaf. I was seeing this clip. He said, bro, he would literally take out his ops babies. Like, this dude does not care how old you are. Bro, if you are op, you are op. The age is not gonna change that. Like, dude, it's just, bro, they
just rang into a lot of people's mind that this issue was very bad because kids as young and even younger than 30 were now known to be involved in this. And on top of all this Brixton and Peckham beef, Peckham were having their own issues inside the area, and the civil war started to ignite in the Peckham area, which was fully all out after a member of the MLB gang, or Mandem on Brandon, was shot dead by Peckham owners. MLB is a gang from the Brandon estate in South London, which is the same estate drill group Moscow 17 is based in. Peckham rapper Capone was linked to the murder, but managed to beat the case. But a member was sent to prison for hiding the gun used in the murder. This created a lot of politics between Peckham and the Peckham affiliated gangs. And eventually, after many disputes, members of an estate called Lexham Estate split away from the Peckham sets and started.
Hold on, guys, give me 1 sec. Alright, we back, guys. I'm sorry about that. I had to do something real quick.
The area, and the civil war started to ignite in the Peckham area, which was fully all out after a member of the MLB gang, or Mandem on Brandon, was shot dead by Peckham owners. MLB is a gang from the Brandon estate. Capone was linked to. This created a lot of politics between Peckham and the Peckham affiliated.
Alright, guys, we back, man. Sorry about that. I had to do something real quick.
Gangs. And eventually, after many disputes, members of an estate called Lexham Estate split away from the Peckham sets and started beefing Peckham, which just started turning Peckham very messy. At the same time, different Peckham sets started turning on each other, and because Peckham is such a big area and had so many different estates, the gangs just started keeping inside their estate. One of these being the Pelican Estate, which started beefing other Peckham gangs after the disagreement, which in December of 2010 resulted in 2 members being stabbed and 1 being shot to death. The member who died was called Vesta, and police were investigating this.
All I'm gonna say with all these gang stuff, it's always that one person that will never agree or has beef, and because of that one person, a war starts. Right? I mean, that's how it really is, though. Like, come on. That's how it really is.
Heavily at the time. So while this investigation was taking place, a younger member of a rival Peckham gang started to go onto the Pelican estate and post leaflets through the doors which said, and I quote, "Stop snitching or we'll come for you," which must have been hella threatening for the normal residents who just live on the estate and had nothing to do with the gang situation. Two members, Tiny Nutty and Jungle, were convicted and sent to a minimum of 30 years for the murder. Just before Tiny Nutty got booked for the murder of Esther, his older, who was called Nutty, was on remand in prison for a firearm charge. Around these times especially, it would be common for older members to have youngers, which would then take on their name essentially, just like how Tiny Nutty took on Nutty's name. A 17-year-old from Peckham was also on the same charge as Nutty for the firearm, but just like how gang hierarchy works, other members were pressuring the 17-year-old to plead guilty to the firearm charge, which would then allow Nutty to be freed. The 17-year-old refused though, which resulted in other members executing the 17-year-old by luring him into a car and shooting him in the back of his head, and then burning the vehicle on the day of the court hearing. Nutty was accused of arranging the murder because of the conflicting stories they both were telling in court. And he looked even more guilty after officers found the lyrics in his cell saying, "Kill your co-defendant if he's snitching in court." Like, I don't think you could get any more bait than writing those lyrics. It's not even like it's a catchy line or anything. I think he was just screaming, "Please lock me up." And that's exactly what they done after finding him guilty of the gun charges and arranging the murder, which he is now serving 32 years for. Also, the Peckham rapper, who is known by his street name CF,
do that in America, you getting life out here, boy.
Was actually caught and convicted for setting the car on fire after the 17-year-old was shot and killed, which he served 4 years for. So as you could tell, Peckham was just a mad area at these times. The civil war they were having was probably more active than their beef with Brixton ever was. One death that really
That's what it
shocked
sound
the
like,
area
hell
was
yeah.
the death of a respected member called Taz. He died during the chase when he crashed his motorbike. Family members put up a shrine of Taz where the accident occurred, where the ops then camped outside the same day of his death. And when a member called Little Groove visited the shrine, they shot him dead the same day. So Peckham was literally a no-go zone at this point. Like, literally everyone was just beefing each other. And while all this madness was happening in Peckham, Brixton were having their own separate issues over in their camp. Gas Gang was starting to get heavily involved in beefs with a lot of surrounding towns, like Brixton Hill and Toast Hill, which are blocks of the famous drill groups 6-7 and 8-6. One murder that really started changing the dynamic of this beef was the murder of Toast Hill member Little Zach. It was 2011 and 5 Gas Gang members rid out in a school located in Toast Hill, waiting for Little Zach to come home from school. The reason the members targeted Little Zach because he was involved in the stabbing of a Gas Gang member 2 weeks before this incident. When he came out of the school, the Gas Gang members chased Little Zach and stabbed him to death. He was only 15 at the time, and this resulted in a few separate gangs starting to turn on Gas Gang, like ABM, who was a gang located in Stockwell. At this point, literally everyone was beefing everyone. South London was...
Bro, literally, you step in their territory, they're gonna beef with you. That's how bad it seems like it gotten. Dude. Holy
It's a very,
crap.
very dangerous place. And when some murders would be committed, police couldn't even point it towards any specific gangs, just because it could have been so many different cliques. Like the murder of Azur Khan in 2011. He was attending the funeral of one of his Gas Gang friends. When
This has to be the most dangerous time in Ukdrill, because I don't think it's like this now. I mean, you know, it's still like dangerous and stuff, but dude, step into a territory, even you're not even affiliated with the gang, and they're gonna beef with you. Like, yo.
was shot and killed at the burial, but no one has the faintest idea of who it could have been. It could have been one of the many gangs in Peckham, it could have been members from Toast Hill, Brixton Hill, ABM, or just anyone from the borough of Southwark. There's just too many possibilities. These murders amped up the fuse between gas gangs and other areas aside Peckham, and it was getting to the point where both Brixton and Peckham had more issues on their hands rather than each other. In 2012, 3 gas gang members rid out on Stockwell looking for members of a rival gang called ABM. When they found the op inside the shop, they let off fire inside the shop, which missed the rival, but ended up hitting a 5-year-old, which left her paralyzed. This hit nationwide news, and this was really the beginning of the end for Gas Gang, because they
5-year-old paralyzed, man.
They started getting more monitored than probably any other gang at the time, which 2 years later resulted in a massive raid taking down some of the key members of the gang. Nowadays, Peckham and Brixton gangs are actually linked up, with both of them having the same ops. But compared to how it was back in 2011 to 2012, both areas have calmed down a lot, with mass surveillance and of course gentrification. If you go to some of the old blocks of Peckham, where murders, robbings and shootings would be a daily occurrence, it's crazy how now them same blocks are filled with white hippies with rich parents. But to be honest, that's like most of London.
He said white hippies with white hippies with rich parents.
Now, anyway guys, that's it for today's video. I might do a part 2 on
man. All I'm gonna say, guys, is just I never knew, you know, it's just, bro, it gets so diverse, man. Ukdrill. That's why, you know, you have to be grateful for what it is, man. Like, And when I say grateful, you have to like respect the culture because it's history, man. Like this is all history. Even though this is a lot of bad stuff, man, this is like history in the making, bro. And it's just like, damn, bro, like, wow, bro. I never knew it was this deep, man. And another thing that's just sad too is just because of these gang violence, I guess you could say stupidity, innocent people loses their lives because of it. And it's so sad to say, man, but it's just, bro, it's just so it is, bro. It's just how it is out there, man. But I hope you guys that is watching is safe. You're not affiliated with anything that's crazy. You're not doing anything criminal activity, and if anything, you're having a good future ahead of yourself, and you're planning beyond, like having a great career. You get what I'm trying to say, you know. But yeah, man, hope you guys enjoyed this reaction, man. If you reach to the end of the video, thank you guys so much. And with that being said, I love you guys so much. Tune into the next video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.